Dave here. How are you? Today is the 17th of October 2021. I hope the stream's coming through loud and clear. I can see vision's happening. We need to make sure that sound is happening as well. All right. Now, today on the show, wasting time me talking unless someone says the sound's going fine. Anyway, I'm going to kick on. Good morning from Newcastle. Good day, Nathan. Giles, Carl, audio and video. Excellent. Great. All good. Okay, so today on the show, I hope everyone's had a good week and feeling well and, trying to keep on a happy face whilst New South Wales is coming out of the restrictions from this rotten COVID and parts of the country are going back into restrictions. Anyway, I guess we have to live with it. Today on the show, Phil Gaynor's handmade wooden hand planes. He's made some beautiful planes, 2 of them, and I will show you some pictures of those right off the bat because Phil's in Ireland, and I'm guessing if he's awake trying to watch this, his eyes are going to be propped up with matchsticks because it'll be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning around that zone. So let's hook in and have a look at that. He's made 2 after he watched me make the planes on the show and getting into it and everyone else talking about it. He actually did it. Here we go. These are the 2 planes he made. One is basically a number 3 and the other one is a low angle block plane. And they are so nice. So there's the wooden hand plane he's got beside his number 3. And another view from the front. And from the side again on its own. And now the low angle block plane. It is such a little cutie. And that's beside a conventional steel-bodied low angle block plane. So that's pretty cool. What do you think about that? I think he's done a fantastic job. All right, Phil, you can go to bed now. We've shown everybody your hand planes, but it's good fun. I made this one and it works beautifully and it's just so comfortable to use. Some people have said, Dave, what's all this down here? It looks terrible. That's for my wrist. So when I hold it like this, I'm right-handed, so I push that direction. And also I can hold it at the back if I really want to give it some extra push. Anyway, make one. They're dead easy. My suggestion though is get a bit of brass rod or an old bolt or whatever you want and use that as the retainer for the wedge. The reason being, if you do it on a drill press, you bring the drill straight down through the whole lot and it's going to be perfectly parallel. So when you put the plane and the wedge in, you're not going to have one side favoring if you haven't done the side cuts. Like I did the side cuts in the cheeks, the rebates, or sorry, the dados for the wedge to go into. I found I had a bit of trouble with some of the ones I was making later on. Not all of them, but just the later on ones. Something to think about. So there we go, hand planes. They're so much fun and very rewarding, and they're a real tool. They work. Okay, tips on using a whetstone. I'm going to use my Triton. So that picture up at the front of the show had my Triton on it. It's this guy behind me here. And I'm going to talk about some of the issues some people have with the Triton whetstone. No one has given me that. I bought these things. So there's no kind of ulterior motive. I'm just going to explain how I trued mine up. You might be interested. Build a Lazy Susan. Now, I am going to make a Lazy Susan out of this. I don't know why they call it a Lazy Susan. Why not make it a Lazy Bruce or something like that? Anyway, I'm going to make a rectangular one for the Triton to sit on so I can rotate it from being using the whetstone and then rotate it around to use the strop on it. Might be interesting. You feel sorry for Susans. I'm going to have a quick read first. Skip, they look great. Eric, how are you? Bianca, they're beautiful. Jason, hello everyone. Kiwi, your plane looks more comfortable in the hand. No sharpish edges. Not a problem. An Irish Woodworker's Diary is Phil, who made the planes. And as I said, you can go to bed now, buddy, or you can hang around and wait for the reveal under here of the exotic hand plane that I've made during the week. Now, I've made it over a few days, and today will be the day that I'll actually show it. It works perfectly. We're going to sharpen the blade in it, so I thought I'd tie it all together. And next week on the show, I'm going to build a plane till. Now that's for all the planes to live in. On the wall, I'm going to leave some spare spaces in there because I'm crazy like that. I know if I build it for the planes I've got now, there's going to be more coming. So it's going to be 4 feet by 2 feet, 4 feet wide, 2 feet tall. So that's 1200 by 600, and it'll be fun. Fun. All right, Patreon meeting after the show. I think I've read through everything. Now, to make this Lazy Susan, it's going to be very, very basic. I'm going to cut this piece of, this is around 15mm scrap ply that I had. I'm going to cut it down the center. I'll use the track saw on the Stanton bench here, and I'm going to show you a couple of things regarding that as well that might make life easy for you. I have just recently put on my Etsy site the plans for these things. Now, they're only tiny, but it might be interesting because what I've done, John has created for me the CNC, the DVX, I think they are, file. So if you've got a CNC or a friend's got a CNC, you can use that file. If you've got a 3D printer, you can also print these. So I've got the files for those. They're on my Etsy site. I'll put a link in the description down the bottom if you're interested. I think they're about $5 for the set. Check. Now I've got to take this off here and put it on my long track. The reason being, this is a little bit wide for me to cut on down the side here. So I'm going to cut it on the rip section on my bench. Now a lot of you may not realize that I've designed this bench to be able to cut cross-cut and ripping. And plans are available for that as well, if you want. So these little guys here, they're so cute. I did have someone this morning ask me if I'm going to make any more, and I probably will, but life is so busy at the moment, I haven't. So we'll leave it like that for the moment. Now, one down this end. Let's go to Carl Cam. I've moved it a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Is that a better image? So I've actually moved the whole thing further away from me. So it should be easier to see. Put that one in there. And the other one down in this end. And focus should be better as well. Move this out of the way. Now, on here, you'll see down here, you're probably wondering what this is. This is a track support that I've built. Now, I sell these as well. It sounds like a massive sales day, but anyway, this is to support the end of the track, and I can raise it to the height the material is. But first of all, I'm just setting this in position. Push that one to there. So these are called Stanton dog locks, if you're interested. I find they're great. They work with aluminium and also steel and plastic. There's no restriction on them. They don't slide off. I'm using screws because they're low profile, having the screws there, so they're not going to go anywhere. They wedge themselves in position straight away. Lock, lock, ain't going anywhere. I love them. Give me a second. I got to shut this other thing off over here. Cool. Susan's, Karen's grandmother. That's terrible. Okay, down this end, I don't know if I'll go to the other camera or not. It might be easier to see it down there. Yep, let's go to that one. All right, so down here, I'm going to set the height simply by putting that there. And then on the outside here, I'll take it off and show you. This is all it is. It's got a T-bolt that goes into the track on my bench on the front. And if I want to use it on this side, I take the T-bolt out of there and put it into this one. It's pretty basic. Anyway, if you buy the plans for this are in it. So I'm putting this back on the T-track. Set that up, bring it up to the right height. unlock it. So now I don't have to support the rail down there because I'm only going to be doing a narrow section in comparison to how much room I have here at the moment. Width, let's see if I've got a tape. I do, and a pencil. I'm just going to dock this in half. So I've got 452, so that's 225, 26, 226 is the middle. So I'd have to go a millimetre past because the blade cut is around about 2 millimetres. All right, now why am I doing it this direction? The reason being, when the battery saw that I have gets towards the end, the batteries would collide with, not with my coffee cup, but with the dog down the end here. So I can bring it back one full series of dog holes, and then the battery's not going to hit it. It's not going to hit it at that end. So you'll see what happens when I put the saw through. Track, and pop him back on. Like so. So easy, isn't it? You want to go to the top view again? There we go. So I'll lift that up so you can see what was going on. Down this end, I've got a couple of dogs that this is going to push against. I've got the main dog here to hold the track and the other one down the other end. The end of the track is supported here on that hose guide and track support. That goes into there, held. I'll bring this forward until I see the line. There it is. Now I'm going to put a clamp on it. I don't have to. It's not going to go anywhere because it has the grip tape underneath and it has the grip tape under this as well. When the saw is going over the top, it ain't going to move. See that? It's not moving. All right. Simple part is now get the saw and do it. It's going to make a little bit of noise. Just putting the earmuffs on, eye muffs, saw there, that over the end. See how it goes into that spot. I'll set the depth. That's deep enough. That's fine. All good. All right, cut. There's something. Look at that. That's going to be in the way. I'll move it. As I said, didn't really need to be there. It's out of the way. Done. Out of the way. Easy. How good is the cut on the underside? Well, you tell me. Pretty good. This is the cut, top, underside. Anthony, yeah, it's about to go in the car, buddy. It's sitting there waiting for you. All right, what I'm going to do now is show you something that I made as well. We can't have Phil having all the glory for his plane. I'll show you another little plane I made during the week. This is my little block plane. It's cute, isn't it? Now you notice that I've designed it so it's right-handed as well. This part here fits in my palm and that's it. So I can hold it like that and you can see it pushes right in, and then when I use it, and I'm going to use it here to take the arras off, it's just easy, piece of cake. All right, take the arras off this one as well. Now these are just block plane blades, And this one can go straight into there as well. And they're nice and sharp. I sharpened these ones on the Triton, because I thought, well, I better really start getting the hang of this machine. Good morning, Sean. Now, Lazy Susan. I'm using an 8-inch Lazy Susan, Lazy Bruce, Lazy Gary, whatever you want to call it, mechanism. Quite simply, I'm going to put it in the center, and I'm going to do it this way up to start. I'll go to the overhead camera on this one because it might help. There we go. Now, you know what? I'm going to bring that in even closer. So this is pretty amazing. Watch this. Give me a second. I'm going to go in even closer than that. This is amazing. You know what? It's actually a 4K camera I bought during the week, so you guys can take advantage of it. So that's going to be a whole lot clearer. You like that? Carl, your name is still going to be on this camera, even though I have upgraded to a 4K camera on this particular setup. Now I'm going to measure the width of the bearing. I said it's an 8-inch, it's actually 8 1/4, and in metric that is 208 millimeters. So let's say right at 208. And the width of this is 358. I always stuff up with mathematics. 0, nothing from 5 is 5, 2 is 150. So 75 in should be right. Let's see. Ta-da, I got it right. I'll grab a square. It's not 100%, required to be super accurate. But if we're doing it, you know what the old saying is? If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Okay, so I've got a basic square there. Now I'm going to put it in this way. So you see I just moved that around. This large circle here, you can rotate it and it exposes the holes. There's 4 holes under there for putting a screw in. You do these ones first, I found. Okay, you like that, Derek? So I'm just going to go roughly there and put some screws in. And I'm hoping I have the screws here. I do. These are just little 5-gauge screws that I'm using. I don't want them to be actually longer than what's there. And I might even put a small hole in to guide them. I need the drill out anyway because I've got to drill a hole through for a locating dowel in it in a minute. What do we got? I have a 2mm drill bit. It might be fine, it might be too big, we'll see. I'll just flip to the other camera for there. With a drill and a screw, what I do is I hold the drill in front of the screw and then slide it up in front of something that's not too bright. Don't look straight into a light, but something that's white. And I want to be able to see the threads either side. And that lets me know straight away whether or not it's going to be okay. And that one is. Grab a drill. Cool. Drill this hole first. And put a screw in. I'm going to use a screwdriver. The old-fashioned way. Hopefully the screwdriver fits in there. Beautiful. I've been meaning to do this for years, and I just, you know what, life is busy. Now I'm going to rotate it. We'll flip up to the other camera. You've always wanted to be 4K. Okay, so now you can see I've put that one in. I'm going to go to the other side, and there's another hole revealed to me. Straight away, we'll put a screw in there. Good morning, Cole. That's what I'm doing there is I'm holding the screwdriver in my left hand, and it's the rotation, and my right hand's doing the push. It's easier than doing this. There's a whole lot, that hurts your wrist. Just another little tip. Let's throw another couple of screws in. I'll drill those 2 holes now that I have it positioned and it can't go anywhere. I'll just drill the other holes straight away. Pencils rolled off the deck. Switch over to that one. Good morning, Stuart. All right, now we have all of the screws done there. Okay, now what we need to do is to drill a hole in the other side. Actually, what we should do, okay, what I need to do now is put this onto the other board, and you'll say, but Dave, you've covered it up. And I say, yes, I know, I stuffed up. So I'll whip these out, and then we'll put that and drill a hole through the actual board, and that'll be the bottom. Why didn't anyone pull me up on that? Hey? You're watching going, Dave, you're going to stuff it up. I was wondering whether I should get an electric screwdriver and do this. This is only going to take a second. You're watching and thinking, oh, Dave's going to do it in such a special way that I don't know how to do it. Well, Dave didn't know how to do it either. Give me a sec. Everything else, I practice, except for this part. I thought, oh, how hard can it be? All right. I'm still going to do the similar kind of process. We'll put that there. I'll get the pencil I dropped on the floor. Draw the 2 lines for the positioning. And drill a hole through this. Yep. So it's going to be there and there. I'm going to drill that through with a speed bore because it's got to be a good size. When I can find a speed bore, there's one. Now with the speed bore, don't go all the way through. You'll find the point has come through, and that'll be fine. I'll come through from the other side. You could use a sacrificial piece if you wanted to. There we go, through. There's the hole. And that is going to allow me to get to those. I've got to make sure that's going to be fine. That'll be fine. So now I can screw those down. They're not lining up. No, that's the outside one. So cool. I'll go to the top and I'll quickly explain. These holes here, they're already there. That's fine. These ones here, these ones here are already there. These ones on the inside, I'll screw this down. So then when I put this on top of there, this is the bottom piece, that'll all work. Here we go. It's funny, the numbers tend to climb when I make a mistake. All right. One. I should really do a couple that are located and then, you know what I mean. Then if I bumped it at all while I was just doing those holes. Master Bob once said, no mistake, only happy little accidents. Well, that's a point. Who's Master Bob? 4K is just under 9 pounds. Yep. Four kg, yes, is, well, 4 times 2.2. 4 2s are 8, so it's 8.8 pounds. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about 4K as in speed. I've installed one of those Lazy Susans for my 2, and I remember there was a trick to the order of doing things, but I could not remember what exactly. I think we're going to be okay. And we'll have this done in the first half hour, and that'll give me half an hour for the rest of it. That'll be fine, even though I said it's going to take 10 minutes. Done. All right, so now we see we have up here, I have a hole through here, and when I rotate that, the hole will become apparent. Eventually. It better become apparent. There it is. Cool. All right, now put those over in that area there. As the little holes become apparent. Maybe you want to watch from the front while I do this bit. Okay, so there's the Lazy Susan on the base. Now I'm going to put it on the top. And to do that, I've got that lined up. I'm looking for the hole wherever it is. There it is. That's not great. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to put it right on there. And that should also make it line up better. Drill some more holes. And put a screw in. Here we go. There we go. A wise marine. Okay, now I can rotate it to the other side, and it's way, way off center, but that's all right. You know what you do then? Is you get a saw. You cut it to the right spot. Oh dear. I wonder why that is. I don't know. There we go. Drill this one. This is where screwdrivers that have been slightly magnetized work brilliantly. Round to that side. There we go. And around to this side. Through there. And we'll be done. With a straightened out paper clip. That's an interesting way. One screw left to go. How, Terence, exactly right. How hard can it be? There we go, done. So now we have a Lazy Susan board that can rotate. This is the bottom, remember, as I said before. Now what I'm going to do is drill a hole right the way down through it and then rotate it and drill a hole down through the other side on the same point. And that I know is going to work. Okay, what are we going to use for a pin? I'm going to drill a 8.5mm hole. The reason being, I'm going to use a 5/16 inch or an 8mm bolt to lock it together. So here we go. Done. Now I'm going to rotate it around and do it on the other side. And that'll be a spot for a pin on both sides. That's lined it up. Done. Use that little hand plane. Here we go. Done. A little bit on the back here. And on this one. All done. So we have, that rotates there, that rotates there. I'm going to grab a bolt. And it will slide into there and act as a lock. So it's not going to go anywhere. And if I put it over that, it'll drop down even further. So you can get a bolt that's the right size. I could have possibly gone an 8mm hole and be done with it. All right. I'm going to move this out of the way because we've used all of that as much as we need to, and we need to hook into the next part of the show. All the screws. Not really. It's not going to matter because all of the weight of the unit that I've built it for is going to be on top of the bearing itself. So it's not going to really be an issue. It's not going to be an issue at all. So I'm going to say goodbye to this for the moment. I'm moving it out of the way because the top here is Formica. And these things being wet, I don't like them being on that particular area, on that. I would rather it was on the Formica. Now, let me see, what am I going to do here? This is a whetstone. So this is a reservoir for water. The stone soaks up a lot of water and it keeps the blade cool. Now, I'm on this particular machine, I'll set it up and give it a dressing, and then we'll get the blade out of the plane so you can see that. And sharpen the blade up and give it the old cut the piece of paper time. Let one of the other siblings put their sticker on that one. Dad, I'm a sharer. Okay, I'm kind of not really focusing too much after my Lazy Susan debut. All right, jug of water. These do a decent job if you do what I'm about to do. Otherwise, they're going to take for absolutely forever to do stuff. Now, I turn it around this way because I use the wheel is going to turn towards me. So I'll turn it on and it's turning this direction. So you can see it turning. Water. Now there's level lines on the side. This is for all of these kind of stones. If you've got one of these things and you're all good with it, don't worry. You know, there's a lot of people that have thought about buying one of these and think, oh, how do I do it? What do I do? And even people that have had them for a while don't understand the way that the Triton one works. So the stone is still soaking water up and the level is dropping ever so slowly. I'll get get this, and let's see if the other camera to the side is going to be any better for this. Bring it in close. Maybe if I turn it around like so, bring that one around here. That could work. I'm going to switch cameras. All right. This bar has adjusters, so you can loosen that off and adjust height by this little ring here. It's like a nut that on the thread that raises and lowers this bar. The bar can go here or it can go on the front. I like to leave it here all the time. That's just me. This guy here is a sharpening, sorry, not a sharpening tool, it's a wheel dresser. Now, this is a carbide point here, I think, and it's adjustable by an Allen key in there. You can adjust the height, take it in, take it out. And this is the retainer for it. Now the Tormex have got something that goes onto here and you do a little screw thing here and it makes a diamond point travel across to dress the stone square. These ones are a little bit different. All right, this slides on. And I think it goes on this side. I'm pretty sure it does. And then that slides on after it. I'm going to raise that up for the moment, turn it off until I get it on there. Okay, now, can you see this, when I clamp it up tight, is going to hold it in position. Actually, I may even spin this around this way towards the other camera on the front for this particular part. You might be able to see it a little bit better there. See this? It comes up like so. Now, at the moment, it's a little high, so I'm going to lower the bar down. This bar here, I'm going to lower that down until it's about level. That's good. And now I'm going to lock it. This comes across the back, and then I just hold it up like that. Tighten that one. Tighten that one. And now I'm going to bring it up just a little bit because it's, you know, I want it hitting the stone flat. Relax, relax until it's there. That's good. lock that. Pull that down until it's touching, That's it. I'm going to come back to this camera now. All right, and now I turn it on. It's important that it's going to be turning away from you. Don't go the other way. So there we go. I'm holding up at the back and just dragging it slowly across. Look how much cleaner the wheel is. And that's it. Take that off. Now, if you don't do that, these things glaze up and they take forever to sharpen anything. So that doesn't take very long. I put the rest on the top there to push it against, to give me the leverage to push it down onto their one. All right, rotate it around this way. And now, one of the interesting things about this, and we're going to now reveal the plane. So give me a sec, I'll switch over to the other camera. Here's the plane. All right, it's really, really nice. I like it. There you go. What do you reckon? Purple heart down the centre, rock maple either side, padauk on the sides, and then jarrah along the base. It's in my traditional style that I make with this kind of slug or snail handle at the front, and kind of based on older roadster cars at the back. This one is a slightly more increased pitch at the back, not as flat, so I can get my hand behind it and give it good push. Now this is just shy of being the size of a number 5, so I'm going to call this a 4 3/4. You'll notice here I've put the grub screws in as well on both sides, so I can adjust those to keep the blade centralized at the bottom at the mouth, so it can't go anywhere. The wedge I've made out of the offcut that came out of the throat, and so I can undo that and we'll take the blade out. That's it. Cool little wedge. And as I say, there's the blade. And we're going to sharpen that. Now I've already started with this, and it's got the Norris style adjusted down the bottom there. So I'll pop this over here. I love doing that kind of stuff. And when it turns out well, it's very rewarding. So I've already sharpened this with a 60 grit belt on the Sorby Pro Edge, and that is great because there's no heat generated on that style of sharpening. But I thought I'd put this in the chisel plane jig and show you how I do it on this one. All right, so where are we? Get the rest of it. It's here somewhere. There it is. Okay. This holds onto the blade. The blade goes in upside down. This slides on this direction. If you do it the other way around, you're not going to be able to get this point in to the side of the stone. It's going to bump. And also there's a squaring point right here on this clamp. This clamp you do up first, this one you do up second. So you make sure there's enough room for the blade to go in with the bevel down as you've got the adjusting knobs in front of you. Now, I don't worry too much about how far out it goes. Less is better, I think, really. So I'll put it into a certain point, then I get a square, my engineer square, and I sit it on the bar until I get the blade perfectly square, in line, pardon me, with that. Now I have a little bit of tension on here so that it's not flopping around. Once you've got that tight, then this side, you've got a massive amount of leverage because the blade finishes back here and the bar keeps on coming out. So as you tighten this, it's really going to grip. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, then I pop it back on here and I have a look. Now it has these little things that are an angle guide, and you can use that if you want. This is the same on all of the different types. It's got the actual angle of the blade. If I was to take this off and put it in there now, it would tell me that's that one there, which is 20 degrees. So it went into that one there, which says 20 degrees. This guy here, on the top, actually I'll go to the overhead camera for this, it'll be easier for me to show you, I think. So, this guy here, you'll see it's got 250, 200, 150 are on those white little marks on the black point there, and then a degree pointer. And it's got imperial over this side in inches. Now that's the diameter of the stone. So as your stone wears out, which way have I got to go? Towards me. As your stone wears out, the diameter is going to decrease and your angle is going to be different relative to the center of the axle. It makes sense. All right, now what I'm going to do is, this one is still pretty new, so I'm going to leave that at, you undo it and it clamps the two, you undo it and it clamps the pair of them at the one time. So I'm going to leave it up around the 250 mark, and I've set it's 20 degrees, so I've just turned that dial so I could turn it to 55 or 60. I'm going to take it back to 20 and hold my finger on it and tighten it up. So that is set for a 250 wheel. Is it going to focus or not? There's a lot of stuff down there for it to focus on, so I'm going to keep it there. That's fine. All right. Where is it? Around here. There. I had a slight technical stuff up then. That might be easier to see it. And the idea then is you sit it on the stone like that, and then whatever is on the wet wheel and touching, the bottom of that cursor should be sitting flat, and that will tell me that I've got the correct angle. So I can now release the two clamps on the back here and then lower this by this knob here, lower it down. And you see that's now saying 20 degrees, but the problem is I'm bumping. The jig's actually touching, so I can't have that. So I'll raise it up. So it's not touching it. And looking at it, I reckon that might do me anyway. I'm going to lock it there. To make the angle shallower, there's a couple of things you can do. You can move the blade further out so that it's, or retract it, whichever way you want. But you've got these adjustments. Adjust the blade in the jig that holds it on, or adjust the height. You can also go to the front sections here and try it on the front, see how it goes. I prefer to have it like this because you'll see in a second when I turn it on, the water is coming up and then it pairs off and runs down the side. A lot of people like to have it on the other side so that the stone is traveling away from them, and I find the water just goes absolutely everywhere and it's no fun. All right. The Roadster. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is give it a sharpen. And now, because the stone has been cleaned and I've just dressed the top off, all the glazing's gone, you can also, where I've got it, use a dressing stone on top. Now this is a grading and dressing stone, so it will grade it to 200 or 1000, depending on where you're at. So you can do it. I find I'm getting a really good result just like this. Isn't it a bit dangerous to let the wheel to come into the edge? No, it's not. This is turning at 150 revolutions a minute. This is not something that's turning at 2000 RPM or 3000 RPM. This is a very, very slow wheel. If this was on a grinder or an ordinary grinder, yeah, big problem. So here we go. Let's start her up. You watch the water come up straight away. See what I mean about the water just goes to there. I'll go to the overhead camera so you can see. And about there. See the water runs up the blade? I keep equal pressure on the blade itself here, and also at the back. I'm pushing up with my thumbs. Take it off. Always have a rag hanging around just to see how the grind's happening. See it happening here? I think it would. Kiwi? Can't see why not. The bar is pretty much the same diameter. Now I did say while I'm doing this takes a little while, so while I'm doing this I'll tell you what happened with mine. Mine, the wheel was going up and down, making it bump all over the place. So, an easy fix. All that was the axle through the center of this machine was a different diameter to the inside of the wheel. So what I did was I took the wheel off and I got some electrical tape and did one rotation around the axle, and then I put the wheel back onto it, and as it was going on it tightened itself up and centered itself automatically. Now you can use plumber's tape if you want to and do the same kind of thing. So then I got a dressing tool and held it on the bar, and it's a diamond plated tool that I use from a grinding wheel I should say, and dressed it to the machine. And now it's tracking beautifully. You can see that's as good as a Tormek will track. Nearly finished, nearly finished. Now with my type of plane, it's pretty important to get it as square as possible. I think that's done. Yep, it is. So it's got the hollow grind right to the front. So now I'm going to take it out of the jig. And now I'm going to give it a quick strop. Now this is where I'm going to take it off there, take the wheel off first and tip the water out. Now be careful with these. Don't tip the sludge out down the sink, just the water. You can see the sludge there that came off the stone. put this back on just to catch the drips in case it starts to drip. Now we do have a Lazy Susan that someone tried to make, and we'll pop it over here and put it on. There we go. How easy is that? And we'll get that bolt and put it in here. And it's locked it. It's not going anywhere. Now we're going to use this side, and it's going to be turning away from us. Remember, the axle only turns one direction. You chuck yours in the garden. When grinding on a whetstone, don't push down hard or run the blade off the edge. I had a friend do mine, damage the plastic insert in the wheel, causing the wheel to wobble out of true. Okay. Do you put a micro bevel on too? Well, we'll get to that. Where's my box of goodies here? All right. See this stuff? This is a metal polish. First of all, when you get one of these, dose this section with baby oil. Now, one of the other things is, this one came off. It just peeled straight off. First time I used it. So, you know, that doesn't really make Triton look very good. But all I did was, on the join, I used super glue to join the first section there, just from here back, and held the leather around the wheel while the glue went off there, peeled it back to where the glue was holding, and then I super glued all the way around, about a third of the way, held that down until it came all the way up to the end, and super glued right to the end. And it's better now than it was when I first got it. Let's turn her on. Now this is also the drive wheel, if you weren't aware. So the motor has a very small pulley or wheel that's going on to the inside of this and turning it. That's how it's getting its gearing reduction and everything. That looks all right. All right. So here's the blade. And what you can do, I'll bring her over here a bit so you can see from the front, might be better again. What you can do is, if you can use your eyes well enough, you can put the back to create a really nice polished edge. Remember, it's a plane, not a chisel. So you hold it down until you just see a touching. And like anything, just rub it backwards and forwards, just so you can see it touching the edge. Obviously, don't go down too far or you're going to roll the edge over, and that's going to be a problem. Okay, spin them around this way so you can see it a bit better. Up and then bring it down to it. And that looks pretty fine. See that? Now I'm going to do the bevel. And again, just a matter of holding it on it. Just dropping the bevel. And I'm going to do it by hand as well. I don't trust these to do the whole job. This is just doing the groundwork for me. Nearly there. Turn her off. And push that guy over there. Now the last part is going to be stropping it with this guy. Let me see if the overhead camera is going to see that. I'm going to put it back on my bench because it's a whole lot easier to do it there than other ways. Give me a second. And then we're going to actually see if it cuts anything. Get that one down there. Get this guy up. Cool. All right, there, and pop him there, and this one here, like so. That's pretty easy. Which way should I go? That way, I guess. All right, a little bit of the polish, and switch over the cameras, of course. Okay, digging under the bench to find it. There. All right, a bit more polish on there, not a lot. Here and there. Blade, I'm losing things all over the place because I'm moving things around. There it is. All right, the back to start. It's just great. It's very, very nice. It's a little bit dull at the moment because that's a good question there, David. I just quickly read David's question. Has anyone found that the cheaper grinders are just as good? You know, I was all gung-ho. I wanted the Tormek and all that kind of stuff, and they're probably worth it for someone that does it professionally. But for me, this thing's been great. As I said, it had an issue with the stone at the beginning. I fixed that, and now it's going brilliant. But again, if you're doing stuff professionally, I wouldn't muck around. I'd just go straight and get the Tormek. All right, I was doing the flattening this way, just on the back, removing the burr, and then pulling it back through. I'm around about 40 degrees, I think, there. And then a bit more here. Rag. I also have a light with a magnifying glass over here, and I use that. That might be okay. Let's have a look. Let's see how it works. That's working all the way down the blade. See that? Right from the edge, right through. Now, if it stops halfway through a cut like that, what you've got is a little dent, and that's because the back isn't polished, or there's a spot where you've used a too coarse a grade of belt or whatever, and there's that little hole in a sharp edge. And it really does, as you can just see, you just saw then, it makes a huge difference. Look at that. Almost mirror at the top and right on the edge. Very sharp at the top. let's put it in the plane and see if it's going to work. And that might do us for the day. Remember, next week it's going to be making a plane till, the start of it. Let's put it back in my plane. I have no idea. Carbotech were doing Triton stuff again. I don't know if they're going to do the stones, these things. You get in touch with Triton, I guess, and see if they've got them. But as I said, this is one that I got, and it had issues, but now, as you can see, it's beautiful. Pop the blade in. You might want to go to the overhead camera for this. Yeah, just quickly reading there. All right, that one there, and the wedge, wherever it is, all of these things are going to be hiding. So there it is over the back. Cool. Drop him down in there. Tighten him up. Sexy little machine, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to do a sight down the top, and that looks pretty good. We'll get another camera and come to the side there so you can see what's happening. That's good. And to this one. Take this off. This is a handy thing. All right, let's get a piece of wood for planing. On the other side. Nothing yet. Oh, you can hear it straight away. Do a sight check for straight. Also with the Norris adjuster, it goes the opposite direction you move the lever. So if I move the lever this way, it's pivoting, so it's going to turn the blade the same direction as I move it. It's just weird. Look, it's not going to cut any sharper or any better than Phil's. You know, this one here also does a beautiful cut. Let's see if it's going to stuff me right up now that I've said that. See that? Does a great job. Both of them do a great job. This one I have more adjustment with, that's all. But it just looks sexy. I love it. How nice is that? And then the little guy. Look at that. As I said, they all work. It's just this is the pimped up one. All right, come back to this camera. Okay, 127 watching. I'm going to do a quick read. Had the water tray rust and wheel problem over, otherwise it was great. Yeah, the Tormex have got a stainless steel shaft through the middle. A lot of these ones, I don't know if this one particular, but the cheaper ones have got an ordinary steel shaft, and they do tend to rust. Greg, nice work, Dave. Another note, I've just obtained a record number 050 combination plane. Does anyone know where you can get the cutters for them? No idea, no idea. But if anyone in the audience there knows, help him out. I was looking at the Shepak machine, but Seen some reviews saying it felt a little loose in its setup, wasn't aligned very well, etc. Kind of turned me off it. Okay, Tippo, well, you know, what do you do? It's just like anything that you buy. Sometimes people, if they hadn't kind of understood it as quickly or had been told that it's got some issues, they're going to write it off before they actually even give it a chance. I tend to give something a chance. I want it to work. So even if I've got to muck around with something a little bit, I'll do it. Anyway, so there we go. We saw the Lazy Susan stuff up. The thing is, you don't notice that on ordinary Lazy Susans, the large ones, because they're normally a circle and you haven't got four sides trying to line up with each other. If I'd spent a bit more time setting that out, it would have been perfect. But the big ones that you have on the table for the tomato sauce or ketchup, whatever you want to call it, then it's got a bearing and the housing in the middle, and the top normally comes out past that. And so it's going to track, you won't even notice it being slightly off center. But there you go. There's that. I'm hoping that if you're thinking about a whetstone, the things that I've shown you there might demystify it a little bit. Don't ask me to tell you how to sharpen turning tools on it, because I keep on telling everyone I'm not a turner. I have a small lathe for turning small things to help me out doing things, but I don't have the turning bug. Now, if you're one of my patrons, we're going to have the Patreon meeting straight after the show. I've got my sound fixed up. The cable fell apart last week. That was fun. And I'll quickly read this to make sure that I've got everything sorted. So we had a look at Phil's planes, and they were beautiful. That lower angle I'm envious of. Tips on using the whetstone, building a basic Lazy Susan, just for that to go on top of. Exotic wood plane revealed. Next week, starting the plane till build. That'll be interesting. I'm also going to move my turner display. I'm going to tip things up. It's going to have chisel holding and all sorts of things in this new plane till. It should be an epic thing to go on the wall. Let me have a look down here. What have we got? What finish on the pimped up model? That is Rust-Oleum. It's a spray can. I got it at Bunnings, Rust-Oleum high gloss. And it's probably had around 5 or 6 coats. Works well, touch dry in 10 minutes. That's why I like it. You know, I could have put the wax on, but I didn't, because I wanted it to be the same. I'll give you a look at the other one. So for people that haven't watched before, this plane that I've just made is the little baby brother of the big fellow that I made a while back. So it's the same style, got the same kind of grip at the front. The look a bit, if I put it over that window, you might be able to see it. Oh, sorry, over the light. This is also Paduke. It's all the same timbers, except for this one has the little racing stripe down the middle out of Purple Heart. Everything else is the same, except for I've got the wedge is over the frog, is out of the frog cutout. This one's red gum. They both work fantastic. All right, so reading down here again, looking into very well priced memory. Thanks, Dave. See you later. See you everyone next week. All right, look after yourselves. Be nice to each other. Don't forget Patreon meeting just in a minute. Bye.